joy of the Lord is our strength. We bow down and worship him now. How great, how awesome is he. Let's sing that again. We stand and lift. We stand and lift up our hands. For the joy of the Lord is our strength. We bow down and worship him now. How great, how awesome is he. Together we sing. Oh, everyone sing.
Hi, ladies. It's so good to see all of you. I'm so glad you're all here. Let me go ahead and pray for this message that we're about to receive. Heavenly Father, thank you so much again for bringing us all here. I pray that you would open our hearts and open our minds to your word as we dive in, and just please, just whatever message you want us to hear and take away from this, just really touch our hearts, Lord. Thank you so much. In your name we pray. Amen. All right. So last time we talked about faith. So the series is Faith, Hope, and Love. The last time we talked about faith, and we took a look at Hebrews chapter 11, which is also known as the Hall of Faith, and it lists a bunch of biblical characters and people that in the Bible that had shown great faith. And so who remembers the who, what, when, where of Hebrews? Does anybody know who wrote the book of Hebrews? Do we know who wrote the book of Hebrews? No. So the book of Hebrews was most likely written by someone in Paul's inner circle, probably Barnabas or Luke or maybe even Paul himself, but we're not sure. Does anybody know about when the book of Hebrews was written? No? Anyone? Before 70 AD. Does anybody know to who the book of Hebrews was written? It is a letter, so who was this letter written to? Right. So it was a group of Hebrew Christians, probably second-generation Christians, that Paul is talking to. So last time we talked about how faith is the foundation of our relationship with God. Faith is looking at the evidence of how trustworthy and every time God has shown up in our life and the faithfulness of God, and remembering what he has done in our life and acting on those promises and acting on that faithfulness and being faithful to him in return with our own lives. Today, we're going to be taking a look at hope. Hope is the next layer of this trifecta that Paul has given us. So let's take a look. I gave you a printout of the verses, so if you want to read along with me, let's take a look at Hebrews 6:18 through 19. So God has given both his promise and his oath. These two things are unchangeable because it is impossible for God to lie. Therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can have great confidence as we hold to the hope that lies before us. This hope is a strong, trustworthy anchor for our souls. It leads us through the curtain into God's inner sanctuary. Jesus has already gone there for us. He has become our eternal high priest in the order of Melchizedek. Those are some strong words there. So the Greek word for hope that is used in this verse can be translated as expectation, trust, or confidence. I really like that it's confidence and trust in there. To really understand hope, I feel like we need to separate the difference between what the word hope, how the word hope is used in the Bible, and how we use the word hope in the world and, in human life. So Webster's dictionary, so the human definition of hope, is to cherish a desire with anticipation, to want something to happen or to be true. And the synonyms that I saw in the dictionary were a wish or a dream. So now to contrast that with the Bible is saying that hope is confidence, hope is trustworthy, and hope is an anchor. So what are some words that you would describe an anchor as? Yeah. Heavy, solid. Yeah. Would you call a wish or a dream an anchor? Probably not, right? Because your wish would just be like wispy, and can come and go, not really concrete. You may wish it one day, you don't wish it another day. It's not really concrete. But biblical hope is concrete. The difference here is that human hope is a maybe, and biblical hope is an absolute truth that we can count on. When Jesus said, "It is finished" on the cross, he anchored that truth to us as our Messiah and fulfilled all of God's promises for our salvation. Also, hope comes from endurance. So let's take a look at Romans 5, 4 through 5. Romans 5, 4 through 5 says, "And endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. And this hope will not lead to disappointment. For we know dearly God loves us, because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with this love." Does that sound like a wish? No, that sounds pretty concrete to me, right? This hope will not disappoint you. I've been disappointed by wishes and dreams, but this kind of hope that Paul is talking about is not that kind. It's definitely concrete. So Paul reminds us that endurance develops strength of character, and strength in character gives us confident hope for salvation. I put these in wrong order. Hope starts the path. So hope helps you take that first step in trusting God and having that faith in God. Through trials and tests, more hope is created as we see God's faithfulness and goodness, and helps us continue with full knowledge of his faithfulness. Hope keeps us going so that we can calmly persevere with God through anything that the world throws at us. Now we're going to take a look at a story that really stood out to me as I was, trying to think of an example of hope, and I was just drawn to the Gospels. So in the Gospel of John, verse 5, 1 through 9, and I printed this out. It's kind of a long story, so I think I'm just you guys can read it, but I'll kind of give a summary of it. So a little context to this story. Jesus had just preached in Galilee. He'd done some healing and miracles, and then he traveled to Jerusalem for a Holy Day festival. So all of the Jewish males were required to come back to Jerusalem for this Holy Day festival. As he's going into the city, he passes a gate, and he notices a pool, and the pool had like a deck or like a patio that people were sitting on. And this pool was the pool of Bethesda, and I had to look up the pronunciation of that because I wasn't sure how to pronounce that. Bethesda. So this pool was believed to have healing powers. So there's a verse that's not in the translation that I had, but in some of the earlier manuscripts, there's a verse that explains that this pool was believed to have healing powers, that an angel of the Lord would come and stir the water and make the water bubble, and whoever was first to get into the water would be healed. It is believed, so there was believed that you would be healed if you were the first person to get in. There was a man that Jesus saw on this patio deck that had been paralyzed for 38 years. He couldn't move. He was just laying on the mat. And day after day, he had the human hope that someone would help him get into the pool and be healed by these waters. In fact, Jesus, in the verse, Jesus comes to him and says, "Would you like to get well?" because every time he's just laying there, every time he would try and get excited and have that hope that this was his time, he would see the water bubble. There was no one around, and no one would help him get into the water and be the first into the water. So Jesus sees this man and he says, "Would you like to get well?" So what does the man say in response to Jesus? "I can't," right? He says, "I can't." Because his mind was fixed on the healing of this pool and the human hope of these waters were going to heal him. Sitting there day after day, he probably concluded that these waters were his only hope. I mean, he had been paralyzed or sick for 38 years. That's a long time. I would probably give up hope too. And when Jesus came to him and said, "Do you want to be well?" and he said, "I can't," then Jesus says something back to him. What does he say? Get up and walk, right? Jesus doesn't hesitate. He just says, "Get up." Jesus restored hope in this man by simply speaking to him. And all Jesus needed was for that man to try to get up, to move, to do something, right? Because if that man tried to stand up, it meant that he really believed in what Jesus was saying and that he really believed in God and his power. And he really believed that he had faith. That man probably stopped trying so many years before, and he was just there. He stopped trying to do anything except lie there on his mat and dream and wish that someone would help him. Our Savior is not a wish. He is an anchor that is a hope that becomes a reality. Almost a year ago, it would be a year ago in October, I stood in front of some of you ladies. I don't know if everyone was there, but I stood in front of you guys at a ladies' breakfast like this, and I was so excited to share that I would soon become a foster mom, and how in a few weeks' time that I would become a foster mom and we would get our first call, and how that I was made more than my brokenness. You know that saying that when you make plans, God laughs? I feel like this was like one of those times like where the control freak in me was just like, I feel like God has a really good sense of humor, because instead of becoming a mom, in just a few weeks, my marriage ended and I found myself in the face of a divorce. Everything around me crumbled. I was no longer going to be a foster mom, and my husband and I were no longer a family. I had to sell my condo and find a new place to live. Everything I knew that was safe, trustworthy, and solid now felt like it was just slipping through my fingers. Everything changed in an instant, and I was suddenly all alone, or at least I felt all alone. I had to put time and energy into things, my human hopes and my human wishes, and I felt like someone had come along and just went, popped. I remember one of the first nights in my condo alone. I remember being on the floor of the living room, just trying to catch my breath between sobs and trying to make sense of it all. And I was just like, what is going to happen? What am I going to do now? But you see, sisters, I was the man who was sitting by the pool. I was frozen and paralyzed with fear and hopelessness. But I distinctly remember about a week later listening to the book of Psalms in my car as I was driving to work, because who knows pain and grief better than David, right? So I was listening to the book of Psalms, and I remember the overwhelming feeling of the Holy Spirit telling me, I have a plan for you. And I remember thinking, and anything more? Since then, I have desperately sought Jesus and taking my journey day by day, sometimes hour by hour, and putting my faith in God and grabbing onto that anchor of hope that God has a plan for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm standing here in front of you as an imperfect human being. I'm human. I have my days where I slip and I just want to stay in bed and do nothing and cry and question God relentlessly over and over and over. And he just listens like a good father. And I have days where I say, I can't. I just can't. But guess what? Every time I make a choice to hear that small voice inside of my head that tells me, get up, rise up off that floor, and get ready because I have a plan for you. I have to choose to listen to that voice and choose to block out the other voices. Sisters, hope has a name, and that name is Jesus. Jesus is a living, breathing example of hope for all of us. Hope because we have a God that knows exactly what we are going through. Every abandonment, every betrayal, being forsaken, forgotten, he knows exactly what it feels like. Whatever you are going through right now, Jesus knows every ounce of your pain, and he wants to bring you hope of a life more abundant, of healing, and of joy, and of love, which is going to be next month. So I would like to invite Kyler up. Now we're going to have a song that has just really stood out to me and been playing over and over in my head.
Okay. Hey, y'all. Even now, I can see darkness is fading. Walls of fear, brick by brick, will come down. Your light will shine, lifting me out of the shadows. 'Cause here and now, I know where my breakthrough is. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna push through till every light crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna praise your name. There's a sound welling up from within me. Heaven's power calling hope to arise. So I'm standing tall here in the strength of your victory. 'Cause when you come, every wrong is made right. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna push through till every light crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna praise your name. Fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. You have to bow. all lesser things that demand my attention. You have to bow. You have to bow. Fear and depression, shame and confusion. You have to bow. You have to bow. All lesser things that demand my attention. You have to bow. You have to bow. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna push through till every lie crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise your name.
I just wanted to leave some time for prayer. Pastor Chris and I will be up here if you need prayer, or if you would like to know more about having a personal relationship with Jesus and having this hope, come to one of us and we'll be glad to pray for you. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world and people's lives, and we always need prayer, so don't be shy, and we would love to pray for you. Thank you again for coming. We'll see.